Music, they've got a syndrome known as the Difficult Second album, and here we are, face to face with the Difficult Second episode, with big boots to fill, following hot off the heels of a blinding first episode where we saw Niels of the Netherlands firmly plant his Dutch behind onto the first seat in the season finale with this magnificent King and Queen figurine render. But one isn't worried about no Difficult Second anything. Oh no, why? Because you guys have brought more fire today. This is Render Wars Episode 2. And before we jump into it, the Season 1 Grand Finale prize is now ready. Get hyped. But at this very point in time, so far, honestly, I still don't have enough entries to fill 10 episodes with 5 people per show. Not even close. So, whilst I'm trying to pick up the momentum in these early days, I'm going to knock the shows down to around 3 or 4 people per show, depending on how many renders they've sent in. But blah, blah, blah. What's the prize? Is it a $25 Amazon gift card? Is it a t-shirt, novelty mouse pad? No. The winner of Render Wars Season 1 will be gifted with a brand new current generation 3D Connection Space Navigator 3D mouse, as used by almost every 3D CAD professional. I'm aware though that there's a good chance whoever wins may already have one of these, so if you win and you don't want the space mouse because you've either already got one or you just don't want it, well, you can either take it anyway, or you can forfeit the prize to second place in return for a billion bonus fantasy fictitious internet points. So on that note, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. This video was brought to you and made possible by me, because I can make videos and I've already got the equipment to do so. Alright, on with the show. And first up to make a spectacle of himself, get it, spectacle, because they're glasses. It's Vigneshwaran. Hailing from India. He actually asked me to call him Vicky, but soz mate, Vicky in Englandshire is short for Victoria, so that's just not happening. Instead, I'm going to contract in the services of a professional translator, free of charge, spared no expense. So, Vigneshwaran originally sent in this one render, modelled in Fusion 360 and finished in Keyshot. It's good. I mean, it's good. It's obviously the gradient tint on the lens is done very well. That's what jumps out at you right off the bat. The depth of field is nice and subtle, yet just enough to let you know he's come to party. But when I first saw this, I was like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's quality finish, but there's just not a lot there. Not really a lot there to work with. So I was just about to pie this entry off onto the substitute bench as a reserve for maybe like a future episode, but then I noticed that it included a hyperlink to the Autodesk online gallery to prove that this was his work. So being an official Autodesk link, one clicked it, and here we have more alternative combos of more Sunjis. More of the same, different colours, different angles. However, this one's kind of unique, sporting a gorgeous honeycomb style frame. The modelling on this honestly looks legit. I'm curious to know how he physically modelled that in Fusion 360. That's some skills there you got there, boy. I'm not sure how well received though a pair of Sunjis would be in the real world when the frame's peppered in holes. But when did cutting edge fashion ever follow the rules of practicality? Either way, I was still about to move on to the next submission, which is when I curiously scrolled down and saw more from the publisher, and mate, are you kidding me? Vigneshwaran, amongst others, has an outstanding concept of a Formula-style race car, and he sent me an email with a pair of plastic sunglasses attached to it. Mate, what? Look at this man. He's even designed a crumple bar system, a sponge pit fuel tank, a diffuser which acts as a spoiler, and you sent me some sunglasses, mate. The render itself, going off the tags, which could be wrong, I don't know, it says it was done in Fusion 360, and you gotta say, for a 3D CAD package which costs less than half the price of my annual car insurance, this is pretty solid. I am skeptical though, because in some of his other renders the tags just say Fusion 360, but then in the description he says they've done a Keyshot, so I don't know. It would be something if these were all in Fusion, but I don't think so. Anyway, the detail in the flakes and the metallic paint's gorgeous. The overall texturing all round is very well done. And just look at the excellent job he's done here to simulate studio lighting. Very well done. Vigneshwaran. And flicking through some of his other work, this boy's got some serious skills, not just for visual presentation, but clearly he's got an obvious gift and a blatant passion for product design. He has a quirky vinyl record themed USB storage pen drive, which is great and all, but would that protruding circular bit interfere with the next USB thing plugged into the port next to it? And Sod's Law would guarantee that, mate, if this was built, that metal needle arm thing would catch in your pocket and either snap off or rip a sinkhole into your jeans. Nevertheless, it's a beautiful render. Loving the paint splashes, that's a nice touch. The detail in the model's well done. Viewers with trypophobia should look away now, as Vicky presents this eccentric iPhone stand crowbarred straight off of the spine of an Alienosaurus. Vicky's clearly putting these together more for the presentation of a new concept design rather than to wow people with his talents at rendering. But one thing really strikes me here, right? As far as renders go, they're not breathtaking visuals by any stretch, right? They're sharp, they're crisp, precise and clinical, nice. But they're so good at being functionally accurate that whilst you're looking at them, your mind's focused on the product, on the form and the function, and on the idea being presented, and at not one point are you distracted by the fact that you're actually looking at CGI. And I think Vignesh has to be commended for that, mate. I really do hope some of these ideas you've got come to market someday. Keep at it. If anyone's interested in taking a closer look at his concept designs, I'll leave a link to his online gallery in the description section of this video. Thank you Vignesh for entering Render Wars. Second up, and literally bringing weapons to Render Wars, is Wayne Berryman with his Blade of Glory. Wayne only sent in this one single render, so we this time don't have a lot to work with. But you know how I do, I can stretch this out, man. Challenge accepted. But in all seriousness, although the render isn't leap out, kick you in the ball bag stunning, what stood out for me here is the context in which it came about. In Wayne's email, he said that this was modelled and rendered in Fusion 360, which is like, yeah, alright, good, it's a solid result for Fusion. But he then went on to casually mention that he's been what I suspect he meant a 2D draftsman for years and only began using and learning Fusion 360 the actual day before he did this render. He started learning Fusion 360 one day, and then the day after, he knocked this out the park. Wayne, I'm not gonna lie, mate, I'm irritated, I'm frustrated, and I'm pissed. It's hit me like a haymaker to the schnoz that after months and months of trying, I can't get my head around and learn something as simple as programming or 3ds Max. And here's you learning Fusion 360 in one day and getting to a point where you can do this. What's wrong with me? Eh? But Wayne, honestly, being able to produce something like this after just one day of product experience, you, sir, need to keep up that pace and show us what you've been doing after a few months. In terms of render quality, Fusion's pretty tight when it comes to reflections and shadows, but clearly it's the perfectly scaled, bump-mapped wooden texture on the handle that kind of draws your eyes in on this one. The highlight running along the top of the grip's a nice touch. To be fair, the model itself is as good as it gets, especially for someone who's been using it for a day. I might have been inclined to add a small fillet running up this edge here, and possibly an even smaller one running along the top flat face of the blade. That would have added a nice few extra surface contours to give the lighting in the scene something else to interact with, but aside from that, it's a damn good effort for someone with one day's Fusion 360 practice. For the final presented render, there's a couple of things I'd have personally added to get that authentic look. The screw or rivet heads look a bit flat, like a shinier texture would have worked nicely there. Add in like a flat head groove perhaps. Like the screws on knives rarely look pristine, so a distressed look would have gone down quite well there. The same goes for the blade. I think like the reflection slider was cranked up to 12. It's almost behaving like a mirror, which obviously a knife isn't. So the reflection of the flat handle there, well, it's almost exactly like a mirror, which is quite distracting. I'd also have added in a few extra random chips and micro grooves, which would have been quite easy to model in along the blade edge for an edge of rugged realism. Maybe going a bit OTT here and getting a bit carried away, but I'm thinking like a grungy rust PNG decal to give the blade a like I fought the dishwasher and the dishwasher would kind of vibe. If you do need to present something like this for a commercial project, something as simple as modelling a massive block under the knife and applying a kitchen counter style texture to it would have made all the difference as well. But for consumer products like this, subtle real world non-distracting props can make that extra difference. So, but for a guy who smashed this out after one day of product experience, I'm sure that was the last thing on your mind. Wayne, stick at it, mate. You've clearly got the hang of this already, and thank you very much for sending this into Render Wars. And last up is one of my longest standing subscribers. This guy has been with my channel since at least August 2014, when after 8 months of grinding out videos like a boss, I had a vertigo-inducing 19 subscribers. So Chaos, aka Evan Albertin, I think that's how you pronounce your surname, Albertin. If you were subbed back then, mate, you were one of the first 20 subs to the channel. So Chaos is a... Sorry, mate, I can't call you Chaos. Evan is a victim of Inventor Studio, but credit where credit is due. And using the word patiently is the understatement of the century, but he patiently, painstakingly waited 35 hours for Inventor Studio to render this 30-second turntable animation. And right, hold up, stop. Just a quick short second. Sorry, man, I'm just going to deviate off for a second. Can I just throw something out there for Autodesk to dwell on? I know, right, that Inventor isn't a rendering package at its core. That's not its primary purpose. But, clearly, a considerable investment in time and money has gone into the rendering and visualization capabilities within Inventor. Inventor Studio didn't just emerge out of the armpit of some senior product manager, right? The janitor didn't just happen to find it lurking in a box of urinal cakes and was like, oh, look what I found, boss. No, the actual time and money has gone into developing it. Real people spent tangible amount of their working life creating what it is now. And I'm sure everyone and anyone who has ever used Inventor Studio will agree that, let's just say, it's as nasty as a bit of rump steak that's been stuck in your back teeth for months of someone that doesn't floss and is just decomposed into a rotting, grimy, festering chemical toilet of bacteria. And every time you talk, you get that nasty-ass whiff of rotting gum disease. That's a massive exaggeration, but come on, man. Autodesk, you own 3ds Max, for crying out loud, which has a plethora of various proprietary rendering engines that you own the rights to. You've got Maya, Fred, Christ on a pedal bike, you've got the showcase source code sat in a cupboard somewhere doing sweet FA. Why are we having to suffer the indignity of Inventor Studio when you've got any number of superior proprietary rendering engines available that you could just port across into Inventor? I chuck in an LT version of any of those and it'll be better than Inventor Studio, which is frankly as unstable as a burnt poppadom. Sorry mate, I got a bit sidetracked there, but back to your shizzle. Given that you've done these tricopter renders using Inventor Studio and achieved this level of quality is something to be commended. It really is. And now Evan did say that these are just early quick pass renders of a product that he's working on called the Trigull, which I assume is like a coming together of a tricopter versus seagull or some other gull family based aerial bird. This one here is particularly powerful. I actually really like the design of this thing. I love the design of this copter and I hope he does kind of see it through, like with the blue and white and black colour theme and the arrangement of the blue decals underneath and to the side body. It is properly stylish and well done. I even love the shape and the aesthetic of the design, like how from some angles it actually looks like a muckle huge albatross, but then from other angles it's got a bit of like an Lockheed Blackbird vibe to it. It's a real shame that Studio doesn't do any kind of motion blur, because if you'd managed to get those propellers, like the spinning rotating blurred effect, using a shutter speed effect, that would have looked absolutely killer. But as it does now, it's kind of got that Mayday, we've stalled and are heading towards certain death feel about it. But if it was me, I would have quickly dropped in like an extra local light on the back side of the model, colour match that to the sunset orange, and hopefully, because Inventor Studio is like pissing into the wind with trial and error, hopefully catch some of that nice orange tint onto the model to make it look like the sunset is interacting with the model. But to be fair mate, aside from it being obvious that you gave up only after a few ray tracing passes, hence the grainy noisy areas in some part, these are awesome man. You can tell this thing is a real design and process too, because you can see he's incorporated like the thruster movement from horizontal to the vertical propulsions. Once the design's complete, if this thing actually flies like a modern drone, I can honestly see you doing quite well with this if you manage to bring it to market. I hope you do. Speaking of which, if anyone is interested in witnessing the real world design process put into the Trigull project, Evan's got his own screen recording of most of this product being designed and modeled and documented on his own YouTube channel. I've put a link to that in the caption below. Seriously, go and check out a few of his videos, because like me, he's a budding YouTuber trying to get started, and he's smack bang in the eye of that soul crushing period of time where you're relentlessly creating videos but very few people seem to be finding them. And ironically, his channel is currently like 7 times bigger than mine when he first started watching my stuff. His videos are highly informative, they're easy watching, easy listening, they're quite fascinating at times, especially if you're curious over how like product design's actually done. He's got a number of different projects on the go. Link in the caption below if you want to go and gander at some of the whip product designs that he's got going on over there. He said he's going to do some experimenting with rendering in Red as well, so please send those in when you're happy with what you've got. Thank you very much Evan for entering Render Wars, and also a massive thanks for your extraordinarily dedicated, very much noticed and appreciated long-standing support of TFI. So that's it for episode 2 of Render Wars. Like I said at the start, I don't have enough entries yet to fill up the entire 10 shows to complete the full season. So please get your submissions sent in if you want to show off your work for a chance to win that 3D Connection Space Navigator, which, to be fair, is just a bonus on top of the true prize, that being massive respect from thousands of professionals from all sides of the globe, obviously. Today's entrants are on the screen now. Please take a little 5 seconds of your time to click the straw poll voting link in the description to vote for who you think lit up Render Wars the most today, and that person will take the second seat alongside Niels in the Season 1 Grand Finale. Also in the description you'll find the link for instructions and guidelines on how to enter Render Wars yourself. I thank you for your time. I really did stretch out 3 entrants for this long. I did quite well there, and that's how TFI rolls. I'll see you in the next one. Toodles!